Hi boys and girls. Today we're going to be working on lesson 8.3 and we are in our chapter 8 math book, page 455. So you're going to follow along with the first two pages with me. You can pause the video as we go through if you need some time to write. So yesterday's lesson we learned about the names that we would call each of the parts of fractions if we were describing a fraction: halves, thirds, fourths, fifths, and so on. So today we're going to talk about unit fractions of a whole. So think of a unit as one part of the whole. So if there were 6 parts, the unit fraction will be one part of that whole. So let's read a little bit about fractions. A fraction is a number that names part of a whole or part of a group. In a fraction, the top number tells how many equal parts are being counted. The bottom number tells how many equal parts are in the whole or in the group. So we call this top number a numerator. That's our numerator, and that's going to be the number of parts that are shaded, maybe all the parts that are red, maybe all the parts that are green, whatever they're asking us for. This bottom number is the denominator, and that's going to be the total number of parts in the whole shape. So I always think that he dominates. He's the denominator. He is the one that gives all of the total parts of a whole. A unit fraction names one equal part of a whole. It has 1 as its top number. So 1/6 is a unit fraction because this is showing us one part out of the whole. And the whole, pizza or brownie, whatever we're talking about, has 6 total parts. So let's read about Luke's family and unlock the problem. Luke's family picked strawberries. They put the washed strawberries in one part of a fruit platter. The platter had 6 equal parts. What fraction of the fruit platter had strawberries? So here's our platter right here. Think of a circular plate. And out of those pieces, one of them, and we'll change our color here, one of them are the strawberries. So I'll make them pink. So one part out of the 6, so think about a plate divided into 6 pieces, one part were the strawberries. So therefore, 1/6 of the platter had strawberries. I can read this or write this in 2 different ways. I can write the word form 1/6, or I can write the fraction 1/6. So now let's go down below and let's use a fraction to find a whole. We're going to find the unit shapes in here. So this shape right here, this square, is 1/4 of the whole. Here are examples of what the whole could look like. So this could be our entire, let's say, chocolate bar. This section is 1/4 out of that. Because there's 1 shaded and there are 4 total parts. Remember, your numerator tells you the number that are shaded, and that denominator is in charge, and she tells us the total parts. Let's go to B. Again, our whole could look like this, a square. And we have that 1/4 shaded. And again, we would write the fraction 1 out of 4 that are shaded, or 1/4. And our other whole in section C could look like a T. Again, it still has those 4 total parts. And to show a unit fraction, we would color 1 of those parts. So 1 out of 4 parts are shaded for that section. So each of these, A, B, and C, have 1/4 as their unit fraction. So let's try this. Look again at the examples at the bottom of page 455. Draw 2 other pictures of how the whole might look. So let's take a look at what these look like, and let's see if we can come up with another drawing of what a whole could look like if we had 4 pieces. So let's see, I see that there's a long rectangle at A, a square at B, and kind of like a T shape for C. So I'm going to make a D section and make a fourth one, and I think I'm going to make mine look like an L. So I'm going to do an L like this. And that shape still has 4 pieces, pretend like they're all equal, and then we could shade 1 for 1/4. But that could show how a whole would look. Okay, let's try the next one. Let's go to E. Let's see, how can I make my next one? You know, maybe I'll make like a plus sign. Kind of like this here. Can you come up with another way to write a whole as these 4 pieces? So we have that whole shape there, and if we could color in 1 for 1/4 for a unit fraction. Okay, let's go down below. So we're going to be writing the fraction that names the shaded part. So you can see that down at the Sharon Show, we have all different parts with one, or all different pieces with one shaded. So let's take a look at our first one. What fraction names the shaded part? So I'm going to draw my fraction line right here on the line at number 1. And this is how I always write a fraction. I think of my denominator, total number of pieces, and then the top is how many are shaded. So we have 1/3. 1 out of 3 of those, of that whole is shaded. This is my whole chocolate bar. 1 out of 3 of those are shaded. So now let's go down to numbers 2 through 7. We're going to write the number of equal parts in the whole. So we have to write the number of equal parts first. Then we're going to write the fraction that names the shaded part. Okay, I think we can do this. So let's go to 2. Go ahead and write the total number of equal parts. We have 6 equal parts. And now we have to write the fraction of the shaded part. So I'm going to draw my fraction line. We have 6 total parts. 1 of them is shaded. So let's go on to number 3. Go ahead and write the number of equal parts. And then go ahead and write your fraction. So we have 8 equal parts. And then we'll draw our fraction line. So we have 8 equal parts, and 1 of them is shaded. Okay, let's go to number 4. Go ahead and write the number of equal parts and the number shaded. We have 3 equal parts. And then we have 3 total parts. 1 of them is shaded. Go ahead and pause the video and try numbers 5, 6, and 7, and then check back to see if you had it correct. Okay, let's go to number 5. We have 2 equal parts, and we have 1 out of 2 of those parts are shaded. Again, this denominator tells me how the total number of parts, and my numerator tells me how many are shaded. Okay, let's go to our next one. How are you doing so far? So now we have 4 equal parts at number 6, and 1/4 of them are shaded. 1 out of 4 of them are shaded. Okay, let's go to number 7. We have 8 equal parts, and 1/8 is shaded. 1 out of 8 are shaded. So I can read these in 2 different ways. Let's practice number 4 together. So I can read this fraction as 1/3. That's one way. Or I could say 1 out of 3, because 1 out of 3 of them is shaded. So let's practice reading that at number 7. We could read this 1/8 with those special fraction words that we use, or we could say 1 out of 8 is shaded. And so as we learn more with fractions, we're going to most likely be using the 1/8, 1/3, and saying our fractions that way. Thank you for learning with me today. We're going to do a quick quiz. Can you tell me what is the number on the top of a fraction? So if I have a fraction here, 1/2, does anybody remember that name that begins with an N? If you said numerator, you are correct. And you remember what the name of our bottom number of our fraction is? It begins with a D. It is denominator. Now practice reading this fraction. See if you can practice reading that. If you said 1/4, you are correct. Thanks for learning with me today. You'll go on to your personal math trainer to complete some more problems that are similar to this. Bye, sharks.